Madam President, I also today wanted to speak about where we are in terms of our parliamentary situation. Once again, here we are in the Senate. When all is said and done, more is getting said than getting done. I am a very strong proponent of the oath that I took to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies. And by that, I mean we've got to be able to protect this country. And we need to have a sense of urgency about it. I am not only disappointed, I am deeply, deeply, deeply frustrated that the key authorities of the Patriot Act expired last night when we had a path forward on legislation that would be constitutionally sound, would be legal, and would be authorized. But what did we do? We used we got ourselves into a parliamentary quagmire, the filibuster of one individual that now has left us exposed in the world's eyes. We have major authorities given to our intelligence community to be able to pursue their surveillance of potential terrorists, and they've expired. Those from Lone Wolf, those from the roving wiretap, some other aspects of this, and we've just let them go at midnight. Now, I hope that right now we do what we can to pass the USA Freedom Bill without delay. We need to get these authorities restored. And yes, do we need reform? Absolutely. But let's not delay. Let's get it going. Others are going to speak later on today on the merits of the USA Freedom Act. I believe it's our best opportunity to protect the nation while balancing privacy and constitutionally approved surveillance. I do support reforming the Patriot Act, but Madam President, I don't support unilateral disarmament. I don't want to throw the Patriot Act away. I don't want to throw away our ability to place potential terrorists under surveillance. I don't want to give in under the guise of some false pretense about privacy that we're going to say, well, gee, I worry about my privacy, but the terrorists don't need to worry about us being able to pursue them. Our nation needs to know that when bad guys with predatory intent are planning against the United States of America, we're going to know about it and we're going to stop it. We're going to know about it because we have the legal authority to track them, put them under surveillance, and we're going to stop them before they do very bad things to our country. Now, my comments today are to stand up not only for the ability to have a law, but also for the men and women who are working for the intel agencies, for the people who work at the National Security Agency in my own state, the FBI, and other agencies within our intel community that are essential to protecting our country against terrorist attacks, whether it's a lone wolf or state-sponsored terrorism. These dedicated, patriotic intelligence professionals want to operate under a rule of law. They want to operate under a rule of law that is constitutional, that is legal, and is authorized by the United States Congress. They are ready to do their job, but they're going to wonder, when are we going to do our job? Congress needs to pass a bill as promptly as it can that is constitutional, legal, and authorized. We on the Intelligence Committee have worked long and hard on such a legislative framework. We have cooperated with the people of the Judiciary Committee, where Senators Grassley of Iowa and Leahy of Vermont have also then worked, and we worked together, putting our best ideas forward, doing the targeted reform that was essential, not pursuing unilateral disarmament, and we now have legislation called the USA Freedom Act. Is it a perfect bill? No, it's not perfect, but it is constitutional. If we pass it, it'll be legal and it will be authorized. You know, Madam President, I know you yourself are a military veteran, and I support you for your service. So you know what it's like when people try to trash America. And ever since Eric Snowden made his allegations, the wrong people have been vilified. The men and women of our intelligence agency have been vilified as if they were the enemy or the bad guys. Now, I have the great honor to be able to represent the men and women who work at the National Security Agency and some other key intelligence agencies located in my state. They work a 36-hour day. Many times they've worked a 10-day week. When others have been eating turkey or acting like turkeys, they were on their job, doing their job, trying to protect America. And let me tell you, these people who work for the National Security Agency, for the FBI, and other intelligence agencies are patriots. They are deserving of our respect. And one way to respect them is to pass the law under which they can then operate in a way that is, again, appropriate. These men and women at times, ever since Eric Snowden, have been wrongly vilified by those who don't bother to inform themselves about national security structures and the vital functions that they perform. Glib one-liners and snarky comments have been the order of the day. Now, the National Security Agency is located in my state, but I'm not here because it's in my state. I'm located because it's in the United States of America. Thousands of men and women serve in silence without public accolades, protecting us from cyber attacks, against terrorist attacks, and also supporting our war fighters. I wish you would have the opportunity to come with me, Madam President, sometime to meet them. They're linguists. They're PhDs. The National Security Agency is the largest employer of mathematicians in America. They're the cyber geeks. Many of them are whiz kids. They're the treasured human capital of this nation. If they had chosen to go to work in .com agencies, they would have stock options and time off and the financial rewards far beyond what government service can offer. And we need to be able to support them, again, with providing them with the legal authority necessary. Remember that Section 215 is such a small aspect of what these intelligence agencies do as they stand sentry in cyberspace protecting us. People act like that's all NSA does. They haven't even bothered to educate themselves as to the legality and constitutionality of where we are. Now, let's say where we are, and let's say where we've been. Much has been said about the Patriot Act. It's been sharply criticized. There's been no doubt that it does require reform. That's why the Congress, in its wisdom, when it passed the bill right after 9/11, put in a safeguard of periodic sunsets so that we could take a breather and see to make sure that what we did was appropriate and necessary. Congress did pass the Patriot Act, so the men and women at the intelligence agencies worked under what they thought was a rule of law that Congress supported. President George Bush also told us, and his legal advisors told us that it was constitutional. So people believed it. Those men and women at the intelligence agencies thought they were working under legislation that was constitutional, legal, and authorized because we passed it. Well, now others say it wasn't. Others even want to filibuster about it. They want to quote the Founding Fathers. Well, I don't know about the Founding Fathers, but I know what the Founding Mothers would have said. The Founding Mothers would have said, get off the dime and let's pass this legislation. We do need good intelligence. In the world of ISA, Nusra Front, and Al-Qaeda, the NSA is one of our key agencies in the front line of defense, and the people of the National Security Agency make up the front line. As they looked at audits, checks and balances, and oversight, there was no evidence of ever any abuse of inappropriate surveillance on American citizens. And we need to know that, and we need to recognize that. Those employees thought they were implementing a law, but some in the media and even some in this body have made them feel like they were the wrongdoers. I find this insulting and demeaning. You know, the morale at the National Security Agency was devastated for a long time. People were vilified. Families were harassed for even working at the NSA. In some instances, I heard even their children were bullied at school. This isn't the way it should be. They thought that they were patriots working for America. But our own actions of our own government have placed these workers what they feel under attack. They were attacked by sequester. They felt under attack by a government shutdown because many of them are civilian employees at DOD. They were not paid. And now Congress's failure to reform national security has further then said, well, you know, we can take our time. What you're doing is important, but, you know, we got to talk some more. Gee, we got to talk some more. What do you mean we got to talk some more? The only people in the chamber are my very distinguished colleague, the distinguished colleague from Indiana, who I work in such a wonderfully cooperative way on the Intelligence Committee. You know, not bipartisan, nonpartisan, for the good of the country. Well, where is it? Where does everybody want to talk? Do we see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 senators lined up waiting to talk? No, we got to kill time. Well, I don't want to kill time. I'm afraid Americans will be killed. We got to get this legislation, and we got to get our act together, and we've got to pass it. I want the people to know that we cannot let them down by our failure to act and our act promptly. So, Madam President, I come to the floor today to say, let's pass the USA Freedom Act, and let's do it as soon as we can. There is no reason. I know a vote has been set for 11 o'clock tomorrow. That means that it will be, let's see, 12, 24, it'll be almost 35 or 36 hours since the authorities expired. Then it has to go over to the House. So let's kind of move it, and let's keep our country safe. And let's get our self-respect back. You know, for those who look at our country, there were two attitudes towards America. Three attitudes. One, great respect for who we are, our rule of law. The other was our fear, because we were once the arsenal of democracy. And third, a yearning to be in a country that worked under a constitution, a Congress worked to solve the problems of the nation. Could we get back to that? I know you want to get back to it. I know my colleague here wants to be part of that. So let's get back together. We're shoulder to shoulder. We shoulder our responsibilities, pass the legislation we need to do, protect our country, respect the men and women who work there, and say to any foe in the world, the United States of America stands united and it's willing to protect us. And to the men and women who work for us in national security, we will support you by passing legislation promptly that is constitutional, legal, and authorized. So, Madam President, I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.